Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more r/might a butthole, probably mixed with some relationships as well. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. And if you prefer the podcast version, go to mark-narrations.com and select your favorite podcast there. But our first story is from HomeTime6077, who says, am I the arsehole for refusing to pay for my sister's husband's surgery with my inheritance/college money? Context: my sister, female 27, and I, 18 female, lost our dad a year ago. He was my only parent. Mum was never in mine or my sister's life. Dad left money, inheritance for me and sister, and she used her inheritance to get new cars and renovate her house. I live with my aunt right now because my brother-in-law didn't let me stay with my sister. I'm planning on using my inheritance money to pay for college tuition. I've always wanted to be a doctor but haven't decided which branch yet. My sister and I haven't been close. It started after she got married to her chronically ill husband, who was allowed to make backhanded comments about my dad and mock his illness and make a scene at his funeral, only because he's ill and shouldn't be held accountable for his behavior. I've distanced myself, but my sister kept visiting a lot lately, venting about my brother-in-law's condition. He's been in and out of hospital for heart problems and in need for a surgery. She brought up my inheritance money several times, but I ended up cutting the conversation. She then straight up asked if I could help pay for her husband's surgery and she'd pay back in less than a year. I felt uneasy because if I gave her the money from my inheritance, which is a large amount, there's no guarantee she'll pay back before it's time to apply for college. I'm taking a year gap, but I know my sister can't pay back that much and I felt I was risking my future. I refused to help and she had a meltdown at my aunt's house, calling me heartless, cruel, with no empathy. She said that her husband's health should be a priority and I need to help because education is nothing compared to someone's health, and asked if I'd be happy to see her as a widow and my nephew with no father. My aunt suggested others pay, but most of them cut my sister and her husband off. I argued that her husband's poor health isn't my fault after she kept blaming and guilt-tripping me. She kept crying, and although my aunt decided to stay out of it, she said that I should be prepared for permanent damage in my relationship with my sister if I don't help her now. She's been sending texts and pictures of her family telling me this is what I was saying no to: a happy, healthy family with a healthy husband and father. I cried and felt like I was being selfish and not a good aunt and sister. I asked my friend and he said let them sell the cars and all the luxurious stuff they bought to afford the surgery, and warned me if I give them money, I'll never get it back and may not be able to go to medical school. And as harsh as this one sounds, I kind of agree with what your friend was saying at the very end there, that they've bought loads of luxurious cars and other stuff, but if you was in that much of a desperate position, surely you would sell that to save the life of your husband. You received the same money as each other, so clearly she's trying to manipulate you and guilt trip you like you said, which is an absolute horrible thing to do to your sibling. And let's face it, you're not risking your future will be damaged if you give that money over. I don't think you're going to see that money back at all from what I'm seeing in this one post. Akashi Kalau says, and quotes, he said let them sell the cars and all the luxurious stuff they bought to afford the surgery and warned me if I give them money, I'll never get it back and may not be able to go to medical school. And goes on to say, your friend is correct. You'll never get the money back because sis isn't willing to give up a luxurious lifestyle. She chose how to spend her inheritance, didn't save for a rainy day, and isn't entitled to yours because of her poor financial planning. Not the arsehole. Curious says, not the arsehole. Your sister chose to spend money she got less than a year ago on expensive things instead of planning for the future like you did. Easy come, easy go, as they say. Do not give them a penny of your money. They have options they don't want to take, and that's not on you. You are not getting that money back if you lend it. You'll become a fine doctor someday. I'm rooting for you. Forward Squirrel says, not the arsehole. Your sister is manipulating you. She received the same money you did. If her husband is chronically ill, then they should have saved that money for his care instead of spending it on luxury items. She probably always planned to spend her money and yours. Will refusing to give her the money damage your relationship with her? Probably. But do you really want to give up your future to preserve the relationship you have with her now? Because it sounds like a terrible one. and don't think that giving her this money will improve the relationship at all. Speedy Panda says not the arsehole in quotes, make backhanded comments about dad and mock his illness and make a scene at his funeral, then says he had no respect for your father. Making scenes is not something that you do, even at your enemy's funeral. And quotes, she used her inheritance to get new cars and renovate her house, then says she had her money, she blew it. Quotes again, education is nothing compared to someone's health, and asked if I'd be happy to see her as a widow and my nephew with no father. And goes on to say it's your education, not hers. Your brother-in-law is a complete stranger to you. You have no blood relation, I assume, and therefore no obligation. She's been selfish and entitled. If she had done none of the above and you refused, then you'd be the arsehole. But after all this, she absolutely does not deserve a cent. Please don't sacrifice your education. And quotes one more time, she'd pay back in less than a year. And goes on to say if this is true, she should have no problem getting a loan from a bank. After all this, if you do end up giving her the money, make her sell all her cars and collect collateral if possible. Pain Don't Hurt says no one has mentioned that your brother-in-law would not let you stay with them when your dad died, but he's perfectly happy letting you take care of his family while you stay at the aunt's house. Please don't give these people any money. The man has been sick for some time. They should not have wasted the money your dad gifted them, despite brother-in-law being trash to dad. Just because they are family does not mean you have a relationship with your sister. Go be a doctor, save many more lives than this one. You've got this, and good luck. And last comment from Excuse Purple, who says not the arsehole, you can't be held responsible for everything around you just because you have money. This is what health insurance is for. Your sister could have saved some of her inheritance and this would have been less of a problem. Now, what do you guys make of this one? What would you suggest to OP, or what would you do? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from a throwaway account who says, am I the arsehole for removing all of my fiancé's certificates from the wall after he took down my daughter's dog picture? Me, female 34, and my fiancé, male 36, got engaged 2 months ago. I own the house we currently live in, but after he moved in, he started helping out more with the mortgage payment. I have a daughter, Ruby, female 12. She adores animals. She had about 7 pets so far in her life. Unfortunately, her dog Tick passed away. He was her closest friend and favorite pet. It was devastating for me as well because he was so precious. As a way to honor him, I've printed a middle-sized picture of him, Ruby's favorite, and put it in a frame, and hang the frame in the living room wall. Ruby was so happy with it, especially since she gets to see him smiling at her when she walks in. It gives her comfort. My fiancé saw it and got upset. He commented on how strange it was to have the dog's picture up on the wall and how much of a distraction it brings. I felt puzzled because we have all kinds of pictures that were hanging on the wall. He suggested we remove it, but I ignored him. One day, I got home and saw that he's taken it down. Ruby was in her room crying, holding the picture. I asked what happened, and she told me that my fiancé took the picture off and told her she's not allowed to have it hung up there, and also told her to keep it in her room if she didn't want to lose it for good. I was shocked. I rushed out and immediately started taking down all the certificates he had on the wall. His doctorate, master's and bachelor's degrees, and about 4 to 5 other certificates as well. All of them I took down and put in the bedroom. He discovered what I did and snapped at me and said that it's his house as well and I should respect his input. In my defense, I told him that since my daughter has to keep it in her room, then he too has to keep his certificates in his room, according to his logic. He yelled at me, demanding that I stop nagging him and acting childishly and spitefully. He wanted to put them back up, but I refused and said that if he does that, then Tick's picture would be put back up as well. He yelled about how I disrespected him and his achievements and treated them as trash, and then stormed out. He's been giving both me and Ruby the cold shoulder for days now, saying he won't speak to neither of us till we apologize and put those certificates back up on the wall ourselves. What is his problem with having a picture of a dog up on the wall? I know many people with pictures of their pets on the wall, both here and passed away. My brother himself has a huge picture of his dog, his Samoyed, that passed away many years ago up on the wall and is still so precious to him. I couldn't imagine trying to take that picture off the wall. Well, one, he would take my head off anyway, but To hurt someone that you love like that by trying to remove this picture off the wall, that's just absolutely awful. And then he threatened her as well, saying you best keep this in your room unless you want to lose it for good. And he won't speak to neither of you till you apologize. He's got a grudge against a 12-year-old. What is this guy's problem? Absolutely not the arsehole at all. But Impossible Pause 3788 says not the arsehole. He doesn't want equal say. He wants a dictatorship. It's clear that he will continue to hurt your daughter behind your back. I would reevaluate my relationship. OP replies saying, he told me it's his house too now, so he should be able to have a say in it. I find this illogical because he's only paid 2 months worth of mortgage, unlike me, who put all my savings and sold important items to be able to get this house. And I certainly hope OP has their equity secured, but AWY LLT says not the arsehole. He took a picture of your grieving child's dog, threatened her, told you that your house is also his, yelled at you and demanded an apology. If you marry this abusive man, you and your daughter are going to have a miserable life. Goddess Hylia says not the arsehole for taking down his certificates, but you would be the arsehole if you stay with a man who literally threatened a 12-year-old child to throw away a picture of a recently deceased animal. Crystal Queen 3000 says this is so concerning. He took down the picture and threatened a 12-year-old that she'd lose it permanently if she didn't keep it in her room, rather than on the wall in a common area in her own house. This is indicative of the way he is with her. When you are not around, then I'd boot him out of your life ASAP. Speak to Ruby and have a heart-to-heart. Ask her what he's really like when you are not there, because this story is waving a whole bunch of red flags. Not the arsehole for trying to make a point, but there seems to be a much bigger issue going on. And one more from Argument Fragrant who says, wait, hold up. He displayed his certificates on a common area wall in the house, so anyone walking in gets to read up on his accomplishments. Then a picture of your daughter's dog was mounted in the same area, and that galvanized him into action. Shouldn't his certificates be hung in his office, or better yet, filed in some box in the attic? This screams ego-driven to me. And I'm kind of glad someone said that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be proud of your achievements. Of course you should be proud, but if I got those achievements and then I said, and now I'm going to hang them up in the wall for everyone to see, I'm not sure if I'd feel comfortable doing that. If someone else did it for me and they put them up for me and said, look, your achievement should be up on that wall, I'd be like, oh, fair enough, you know. But to do it myself, it seems a bit wild. But what do you guys make of this situation? Once again, I'm not saying you shouldn't be proud of your achievements. Of course you are, whoever you are out there. Much love to you. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Wenshin4548, who says, would I be the arsehole if I give a family heirloom belonging to my late wife to my adopted daughter? My late wife Kate passed away about 12 years ago. We have a family heirloom that has passed down several generations, starting from her great-grandmother, from mothers to their first daughters, on their 18th or thereabouts birthdays. The heirloom itself is not highly valuable in a financial sense, but the history makes it very valuable to the people in the family. I currently possess it after Kate passed away, and I always intended to give it to my daughter Claire on her 18th birthday. She is currently 16. I married my current wife about 8 years ago. My stepdaughter Sarah, whom I have adopted and consider my own daughter, is 17 years and 11 months old. Her 18th birthday is in a month. My wife has also adopted Claire, and we all consider each other as just one family. My wife asked me to give the heirloom to Sarah on her birthday to continue the tradition. I was hesitant because I always intended to give it to Claire, who is Kate's only daughter, as this was what she would have wanted, and this is the continuation of the tradition. My wife counters that this belongs to our family now, and we should give it to our eldest daughter on her 18th birthday, and therefore this should be Sarah. I told her that while I consider Sarah to be my daughter, she's not Kate's daughter. This belongs to Kate and should go to Kate's daughter. My wife said Claire is her daughter, not anyone else's, and wife accused me of playing favourites and told me that if I truly consider Sarah to be my daughter, then I'll do the right thing for her, or that I haven't really accepted Sarah as a real daughter yet. I consulted my son, from Kate, 25 years old, and he told me that if I do this, he's going to walk from the birthday party and that he bets he won't be the only one. He said if I do this, I should be ready for severe consequences. He left in a very frustrated way. His argument in the end was, this isn't yours to give away. It was Mum's and now belongs to Claire. My wife thinks my son is overreacting, and it's only because, due to his age and moving out, he's never bonded with Sarah like Claire and I have. So he doesn't consider Sarah to be his real sister. Otherwise, he'd be happy for her. My wife thinks Claire will be happy about this since she considers Sarah to be her big sister, and it will bring the girls even closer together because Sarah will happily share it with Claire and they'll both have it. So would I be the arsehole if I did what my wife wants me to do and give the heirloom to Sarah? Now I think OP would be the arsehole in this situation if they was to give the heirloom away, simply because I think the son was right. It's not yours to give away. It was Mum's and now it belongs to Claire. And I think it's that simple really, and I think your current wife is being, very manipulative of the situation, saying that you're trying to play favorites and you haven't really accepted Sarah as a real daughter yet. But what I would be really interested in this situation is Sarah's point of view. Would she want this heirloom with all the information that's going on here? I think if I was in Sarah's position and I knew all the information that I got in this post and someone was trying to give me this heirloom, I wouldn't feel very comfortable about it. Knowing what it means to that family and knowing it's not going to Claire, who it was intended for. I think that would personally make me super uncomfortable. But Leela Lanalina, who says, "You're the arsehole for even considering it. Your wife is also an even bigger arsehole for pressuring you to do it. It belonged to Kate. It's you who adopted Sarah. Kate didn't. It should stay with Kate's children. Give it to Claire on her 18th birthday. I don't trust your wife around it. You should seriously consider giving it to your son, or ideally Kate's mother if she's still alive, for safekeeping." OP replies saying, "Thank you. People here are unanimous and seems like my instincts were correct. I'm going to reject my wife's request and suggest if she loves the tradition, she can give something of hers or her mother's to Sarah. That will mean a lot more to Sarah anyway. Kate's heirloom is going to Claire, and Claire only." Festival Chic says in quotes, "This isn't yours to give away. It was Mum's and now belongs to Claire," and then says your son is absolutely right. This is Kate's inheritance to be passed down to her daughter. You're the arsehole for even considering this, and your wife is behaving dreadfully. Eleanor Dash says you're the arsehole. If you and Kate adopted Sarah together, it would make sense for her to get the necklace. But Kate never knew Sarah, so the necklace should 100% go to Claire. If Claire didn't exist, I would say it should go to one of Kate's nieces. Sarah would not make the list because she did not know Kate. I'm shocked your wife even suggested it. It was way out of line. The necklace belongs to Kate's family. Disneyland Forever says you would be the arsehole. This is a multi-generational heirloom, and your late wife would have given it to Claire if she was still living. Sarah is your family, but she was not and is not your late wife's family. Your son is right. Your current wife is wrong. If you give this heirloom to Sarah, please know that your son, Claire, and possibly many of your late wife's family members will never forgive you for it. And one more from Like to Read 18 who says you would be the arsehole in quotes. His argument in the end was that this isn't yours to give away. It was Mum's and now belongs to Claire, and then says your son is right. Quotes again, "I told her that while I consider Sarah to be my daughter, but she's not Kate's daughter. This belongs to Kate and should go to Kate's daughter." Then goes on to say, "You were right. Stand firm and tell your wife to back off this one. Have her give your stepdaughter something meaningful of hers and start the tradition in your family that way. My mum passed when I was young. If there was a special heirloom from her that I knew was going to go to me, but then went to a stepsister, no matter how much I loved her, I'd be hurt and pissed. I imagine your daughter would feel the same way. This will definitely hurt your relationship with your daughter. Also, please don't make this decision your daughter has to make, and don't allow your wife to bring this up to her. Don't make her choose between the memory/love of her mum and the love of her stepsister." Now, what do you guys make of this situation? Do you back the mum in this, or do you think like the son was right that it should go to Claire? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support, and time always means the absolute world to me. And as I said at the very start, if you prefer it in a different format, podcast format, go to mark-narrations.com and there will be a whole selection of podcasts. Hopefully your favorite one is there. If not, let me know and we'll see what we can do. And just a huge thank you again. Hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love to you.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today